Hey guys, Eric with Blue Line Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Your time's important to me as always. And what we're going to do in today's time in this episode of the John Boat to Bass Boat build is we're going to start installing accessories. So a bunch of wiring going to go on. You can see behind me here, I've got my trolling motor. I've got the sonar unit. We're going to also wire up the live well, a lighting system as well, along with some toggle switches and stuff. And that's what we're going to start with first, is a panel for the toggle switches and a cigarette lighter plug for the bilge pump. Stick around. I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay guys, here's what I've got so far. I used a piece of the plywood, the 9/32 decking that I used for the front deck, to go ahead and cut this panel out. I know it's not real straight here. These are all kinds of crooked really. This is a hole saw, this is all good. But this here, I wasn't really concerned about it because once this goes in over it, and I'll put it on here a second so you guys can see it, or you're not gonna be able to tell it. I did it with a circular saw, a hole saw here, and a jigsaw, cutting that out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a 3-rocker system here, 3 rocker switches. I'm going to have one for the aerator, one for the lights, and I'm going to have, I think, a 12 light system all throughout the boat. I'll fill you on that later. And then just one spare in case we want to hook some other accessory in later. Plus I'll have a voltmeter here, and I'll also have a small plug here that'll do 2 USB ports, charge GoPros, phone out there on the water, whatever you might need to charge up. Okay guys, here it is. This is just kind of a mock-up on the wood. I'm going to throw some carpet on it here in a minute and get it to match up with the decking and such, but that is what it's going to look like here, and kind of how it's going to be when we all get it put together and screwed in. Okay, here's what it come out looking like, guys. Got the carpeting on there, got my 3-rocker switch panel in, got my cigarette lighter plug in, and I went ahead and switched this one out and put stainless steel screws in this, and I'll probably do the same with this right here because it didn't come with stainless, but for now it's in there as is. Flip it around here, you can see it's ready to go for all the wiring and the plugs and all that good stuff, and I'll show you exactly where this is going to go. Okay guys, I decided to put this right at the right side of the casting deck here, and where this is going to go is where this opening is right here. And that's kind of a rough fit, but that's where it's going to go. I could have made it flush in here with the bottom of the deck, but it involved getting in here and honestly taking a lot of stuff apart and a lot more trouble than I think it's worth, because really once it's on here, I think it looks pretty darn good. For a novice like myself, I think it kind of looks like the cat's meow. So guys, we're into the wiring on this boat, hot and heavy. I'm going to show you guys what we've got done so far. I've been really surprised at how much wiring's in this boat. Right now we're estimating there's at least 200 feet of wiring in it, and you know, that's a lot for a 14-foot boat, at least in my mind. Surprised me, and there's more to go. But let me give you a look at what we've gotten done so far. So guys, I'm going to give you a quick look here at what we've got done so far. You know, you've seen it with the decks on, obviously both front and rear decks off, floorings off, and all that good stuff. But let me show you here what we've done. So you're going to see a lot of wiring that we've got kind of done up right through here, and what that's run into right here is the fuse box. We're going to have the basically all the electrical components ran into this fuse box, and once the deck's on it, going to have access to it via this little door I built, and it'll all be sealed up. We did the door, or I did the door just to really keep the moisture out, keep water out and stuff like that. So as we go up the port side of the boat here, this is where the trolling motor will be. So we're going to end up putting a plug-in for the trolling motor here, just kind of a generic one. That way if I ever want to switch motors, and make that a lot easier as well. And then let me see here. This is what and yes, we do have a red wire. We just marked it red because it's all black wire. But anyway, we're running the wiring up here. This will be where the trolling motor is at. And I'll give you another look around here. So guys, as we come off the bow of the boat here, you can see these little LEDs here. I've got 10 of these that are going to go in the boat. I'm going to have 2 here. They're going to be basically indirect lighting tucked up underneath the front of the bow. And then I'm going to have some, I'll show you right over here, that are, when the latch is down, one on each side here for the lighting inside the hatch. And these tubs are here, these plastic tubs. So I'll have plenty of storage once I open up this big hatch I showed you guys in the previous video, but I didn't want everything rolling around in there and possibly rolling up under the seat and stuff here. So I got these tubs to kind of keep everything a little more organized, really, from everything kind of rolling around and spreading around in here. Then as we come back to here, we talked about this wiring down here. This is the back of the rocker panel switch that I showed you guys in the previous video that I made. Now you can see it's getting wired up, and I'll show you the front view of it here. Okay guys, here's the front side of it, and you can see I got my voltmeter. It's on, it's working just fine. We've got it hooked up to kind of a small test battery right now, not the big deep cycle batteries. You didn't see the previous video there. It's got my USB ports to hook up a phone to recharge out on the lake, or a GoPro, whatever's needed. This switch here is going to be, and they're good to go right now, this switch here is going to be for the aeration on the live well, and then this switch here is going to be my interior lighting, which you can see that's on right there. But it's going to be all under the decks and indirect. It's going to look pretty good. I think we get it done. This last switch isn't being used, but as you can see, my version of a joke, I put the air conditioning symbol on it. That way when I get somebody out in the boat that really doesn't know much about boats, I can ask them to turn on the air conditioning for me. Anyway, and then we've also got the plug-in for the cigarette lighter plug, which is be where the bilge pump hooks in, so I can fill and drain the live well whenever I need to. Okay guys, back of the boat here, and I'm going to have basically I'm going to have two batteries right here side by side. On this side here, I'm going to have my circuit breaker switch, and then I'm also, or circuit breaker right in here. Then I'm going to have my onboard battery charger. I'll show you guys that in a second. And I'm also going to have this mounted in here. It's going to be the battery switch, so I can run both batteries or just one battery, depending on what's going on, because one battery is going to be dedicated to the trolling motor, and the other battery is going to be dedicated to the electronics. Okay, here is the battery charger, the onboard battery charger. I decided to go with the 2-bank charger by NOCO. Had really good reviews on it. So this is going to end up being mounted right in here on the posts that support the rear deck. And then I'm going to mount this AC port plug in here, so I can easily just plug in and out the charger, and it's going to mount right on top of the deck that sits about right in here behind the rear seat. When we get it all said and done, I think it's going to be pretty dang sharp. But like I say, that's kind of a walkthrough on what we've got so far. And something else we decided to do here too that I think ended up looking kind of sharp. Right now it doesn't look like it's gonna for the finished product, but rather than use the black tubing to underneath the ribs to kind of hide the wires and cover up the wires, when we tried to run the wiring through, it was super tough to pull through by just the way it was wrapped, and we couldn't get that plastic tubing through there. So we used the same material we make rod socks with. We make our own rod socks, rod covers there. And I'll put a link down in the description below for that video too if you want to check it out. I've got a video on that. But we use this behind here, and as you can see kind of across here, I think it's going to end up looking pretty sharp once the decks are on and everything's cleaned up on it, instead of the black tubing. Just a little bit different look to it. Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed part 4 of the John boat to bass boat build. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also check out the description down below. I've got some really good product discounts for you guys as well. Also want to say a special thanks to Scott Brown, buddy of mine that I fish with. If you guys watch the channel, you've seen him on other videos on Blue Line Fishing here. He is actually an electrician by trade, so it's been a huge asset to me for him to be able to really just kind of ramrod this job as far as what needs to be done with the wiring, and I don't have to bumble through it for a month or more trying to figure out what I'm doing. He's going to be able to do it in just a few days. Once again, I really appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to stick around for part 5 of this, because hopefully in the next video we'll have this whole thing put together, and I'll do a complete walkthrough of everything we've done with the boat completed. And remember, until that next video, get out there and fish.